Right, hello, welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast for the match review of Friday night's game. We won 3-1. That's that positive performance, 3 points. We're 3 points off top four as we speak. This weekend. United as well. What can you ask for? As you can see, I'm joined by Steve and Andrew. How you doing, guys?
All right, mate. How you doing? I'm absolutely stuffed. I'm absolutely stuffed. I've just been finished off my last plate of humble pie, following my worries before the game. So I'm really, really happy to put all that to bed tonight and totally apologise to Mikel Arteta and say everything's forgiven.
Yeah, and Steve, how about yourself? How you been this weekend?
Yeah, I think, we all called it, didn't we? Arsenal win, various scores, but we all called it an Arsenal win, didn't we? All super confident. And didn't let us down, did they, for once?
You're being sarcastic there, Steve.
No. But it was 90 minutes, wasn't it? We spoke about, doing it in phases, but they actually did it for the whole 90 minutes. And
it was amazing,
that was the difference, wasn't it?
It was really, really good. It's so nice to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
he actually scored. I mean, he hit the bar, he hit the, he's hitting everything, wasn't he?
Just won't go for a minute, the irony behind his goal was, the irony behind his goal was all this time he's been shooting with his feet, he actually scores with his head.
Well, did it actually hit his head or was it his back or something? Was it? I don't know.
One of the two.
It's his shoulder, yeah. It's head and shoulder. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. That's what it's all about.
Don't care. It went in.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Oh, fucking hell. Sorry, it's my phone. Sorry. And, I put it on silent. As well. I put it on silent, but I keep forgetting to turn the video voice down. Sorry.
No, it's also, as I'm saying, just before half time, VAR went our way for once as well. We got a penalty decision.
Yeah.
That was a penalty, by the way. And the rebound was actually by the letter of the law legal. All the salty Villa fans out there.
That's a load of rubbish.
He hadn't actually blown for half time, had he? I think that was the key, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He just blew to stop the game. He didn't actually blow for half time.
What they didn't realise is when the VAR got sorted out and it was actually given as a penalty, the clock gets rewound back to when that action happened. And that was well before, obviously, the half-time whistle was due to go. So all these idiot Villa fans who kept saying it should have been, the whistle should have gone straight after the penalty kick and all that, don't actually know the rules. So they're the rules. It gets rewound. If we'd have scored or they'd have scored in that 2 minutes after the penalty kick incident, that would have got wiped off. Basically, the clock gets rewound back to when the incident actually happened. So people just need to realise that for the future before they start shooting their mouth off and making themselves look idiots across social media.
Yeah, but also it's not just Villa fans that made themselves look idiots this weekend. But that's another topic for later.
Definitely. But I mean, where do you want to start? I mean, start at the beginning, I suppose, with the squad selection and everything.
Yeah, go from that. Starting 11. What was your takeaway from that starting 11 before the game kicked off?
Personally, I was really happy with it. Really, really happy with it. I was happy that the fact that he didn't go with what I thought he would do, which was the inclusion of someone like El Neni to stiffen up the midfield, like I was suggesting, because of the way that we'd been playing the previous couple of games. He gave Sambi a start after his cameo at the previous game where he made that mistake. He stuck by him. I loved, by the way, after that game, after the Palace game, I loved what Sambi put out on the social media, saying that it just get me back out there basically because I need to right that wrong. I've learned from it, blah blah blah. So I was really happy with that, and I was happy with the entire selection really, and the fact that he played a 4-4-2, which I've mentioned. I'll mention that a few times in previous podcasts over the years with regards to Aubameyang and Lacazette. So to see it eventually was really interesting, wasn't it? And certainly worked. It certainly bloody worked. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think Tavares coming in as well. I mean, he was he just slotted straight in, and then he was bombing down on the left and
constantly causing
a couple of shots, and so I mean, you didn't miss Tierney in that situation, did you? Really, they just came out of the blocks, and that was it. They were just at it 100 miles an hour, weren't they? And we looked solid at the back again.
As well.
Yeah, Tommy was getting forward more, wasn't he? I think it was just an all-round good team performance. Obviously Saka recovered from his potential horrendous injury, so he recovers. So that sort of solved that position, and the rest just sort of gelled together, didn't they? Really.
Yeah.
I thought Lacazette played really well just behind Uwe, and that brought it really well as well.
Brilliant. Yeah. I mean, Tavares. I mean, he's got to give that man a clap. He was just unbelievable, wasn't he? Right from the word go, and I've loved the look of him all the way through, and I've said before that he must be a manager's dream to work with someone with that physicality, that athleticism, that sort of technical ability. He's very, very raw, but that's what I also quite like about watching him when he's that raw and unpredictable. But he was great from the word go. I mean, he's like Adama Traore at left back. He's like he's built like a brick shit house. He's like so much pace, and just fantastic to watch. I mean,
I just hope he's got the end product, which unfortunately Traore doesn't have it, does he?
Well, yeah, exactly. I hope he's got the defending ability more than anything, because we haven't really seen that yet. But he's so young. He's 21 years old. So it's gonna be interesting to see him develop over the seasons.
Yeah, so I mean, it's more competition for Tierney, isn't it? You've got two great left backs, and that's just great, isn't it? And if he wants to play three at the back, he could play Tierney and Tavares, couldn't he? Potentially.
Yeah.
Depending on the position, on the formation he wants to go. But yeah, I mean, I just thought it was great. It was one of those games where I wasn't on the edge of my chair, all the time.
No, exactly. No. Like Steve says, it only took us 9 games to turn up for a full 90 minutes. It took us 9 weeks.
Yeah, but it's progress, isn't it? People say there's no progress, but there is progress. Every game there's progress, I think.
Well, as I said, Friday was bigger progress. We lasted, instead of 35 minutes, we lasted the entire 90. And you can't complain then. There's no complaint.
Yeah, exactly. That was the one and only slight disappointment. You can't call it a disappointment, but nagging regret, really, that we didn't do the same sort of thing against Palace, because we'd be sitting 4th by now, and 5, 4, 6. Well, not now. Before the weekend, obviously.
5th or 6th, because the results went our way.
That's a real shame. But you live and learn, don't you? And hopefully they've learned from that mistake. And I loved what Arteta said after the match as well, where he said we started to win this game in the changing rooms after the Palace game. That was I really enjoyed hearing that, because that's the way it should be. You should be hurting after a bad performance like we did against Palace. So that was encouraging when he said that.
Yeah, especially it was so soon after. It was so quick between the Palace and Villa. Like, there's literally 4 days between the 2 games, weren't there? So to have that reaction, as we saw, is a step in the right direction by the looks of it. And hopefully, it's not long may it continue, because we keep saying consistency is a big key for top 4 or European spots this year. We need, especially now going forward, the amount of games we've got coming up, to get that consistency, put them amount of games together.
Yeah,
I think they will. Because I think every game goes by, they get that bit more experience, don't they? They get a little bit more confidence every time they play another game together as a group, and they are playing as a group now, aren't they? They're playing as a team, and I think that will only improve. And say Lokonga couldn't wait to get back on the pitch, because he knew he had a bad game against Palace, and he wanted to, put that right. And that's great.
He was another one. Well, they were all fantastic, all of them on Saturday. But Friday. But I think Lokonga as well had an amazing game. I thought he was really, really good. Hardly put a foot wrong, did he? Look, in fact, in one stage he sort of burst from midfield. Can't remember what it was during the game, but he was just outpacing the defenders who was running next to him. But Lokonga looked like he was jogging. His legs were hardly moving. His legs looked like they were in slow motion, but he had so much pace. It was like really weird to look at. It's really deceptively quick, actually. Lokonga.
Yeah, maybe he's keeping that under in his locker, right? He's keeping it under his hat. You know, he's got that about him as well, which we haven't seen a lot of yet.
Yeah, definitely.
He's not afraid to get a few shots off from outside the box either. Even in the Premier League, he's not afraid to do it.
No, absolutely.
I think we just our long range shooting still needs a little bit of work, though, doesn't it? Really, let's be honest.
Oh
but, you know, but that's fine. At least they're having a go, aren't they? I mean, Wenger usually weren't allowed to shoot from
they weren't allowed to.
10 yards. Anything under 10 yards, you had to have a shot. Anything over that, you had to pass it.
Yeah, exactly. We need to keep doing it because, well, A, we'll get better at it hopefully over time. But B, you never know what's going to come out of it. Like a bad deflection, you know, the goalkeeper could parry it out in front of one of the strikers who's running in onto it. Anything can happen, can't it, when you have a shot? So it's worth doing. Unless you put it
absolutely.
4 stories high, it's worth doing.
Well, if you're sticking 8 men behind the ball on the edge of your box, have a shot. You know, if you can't pass it through them, at least give them something else to think about.
Absolutely. But it was a perfect weekend, really, wasn't it? With the Man United result, with the Spurs result, you know, things couldn't get much better, really, to be honest with you.
Even Everton dropped points as well. They got they lost by 2 as well against Watford. That's what I'm saying. As soon as we kicked off the weekend on a Friday night, things could have gone back to square one coming into the weekend. To be honest, most of them actually dropped points, and we're literally, as Steve says, 11 on points with United. 6 games ago, we were bottom. Nobody would have said that we'll be where we are after them first 3 games. Because they're all down in the dumps, no points, no goals. We couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, if you look at Tottenham over the same period, the first 3 games they got 9 points. So the second 6 games they've got 5 points. So in effect, we're 10 points in front of Tottenham over the last 6 games.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And if you look at other stats, I mean, somebody put a post. Last 5 games, we've got the same amount of points as City and Liverpool. League games. So, you know, so it's just a shame we had that bad start. But hey, you know, we've had that bad start. Now we're in a different place.
Yeah. Steve's put in the chat that Partey a threat every time from the corners. But, I mean, he had not only did he score obviously from the corner, but just before that he hit the post from a corner, didn't he? Then he got his head to 2 other ones as well. I wonder whether the set piece coach is sort of guiding him towards that front post, and it seems to be working because he hasn't been doing that before.
He didn't do it last season.
No, that must be a new directive or a new idea that's come from the training ground, because it's certainly effective, wasn't it, on the day? He could have had a couple of goals easy. He had a great game. I think they all had a great game, but how enjoyable was it to see Ramsdale outshine everyone's love child, Emi Martinez? And I heard, I don't know whether it's just 100% correct, but I heard that he had something like 100% pass rate ratio, Martinez. I've never Ramsdale, sorry. I've never heard that before from a goalkeeper. That is madness. 100% pass completion.
Thing is, he's looking to release the ball, and as soon as he catches or that he's got the ball in his control, he's looking to release somebody, isn't he? Some of them, a couple of throwouts and the pass, the long range passing he's got, phenomenal.
It's just outrageous.
He does it. It's outrageous, and you think that's just as if you'd be happy with that if you were a central defender, wouldn't you? Pinging passes like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
I know. But our defence seems to be just improving every game as well. I mean, I know they had a night you know, apart from that blip, which had some bad mistakes, created mainly by the midfielders, let's be honest, against Palace. But they still messed up against Palace. But apart from that game, they just seem to be improving all the time with their communication, the way they're playing, and they're just like a group now that have got a real good relationship together, and they shout at each other. When they do something good, they're always like high-fiving and like hugging each other. And I love the fact that when Martinez let that goal in, which was a quality finish, by the way, by that Villa player, Ramsey, nothing he could do about that. Literally in the postage stamp, wasn't it? But he just lost it. It's shouted at Partey, said he should have closed him down, blah blah blah. And it's just such a healthy atmosphere now back there. It's just in the first half, quite early on, when Benjamin White took the ball literally to the edge from our box all the way to the edge of their box. I mean, that is some way of beating the press, isn't it? Like a whole different level of play, whole different way of playing out from the back. I mean, Christ, just don't bother passing it; just take it all the way yourself, And
all of them the midfield, he left the midfield behind, didn't he? The midfield just left behind, didn't he?
Yeah,
just basically just ran past them. There was no dribbling skill. He just literally just ran with it, didn't he? Just sort of.
Well, at one stage he got tackled, but he sort of went round the guy just like with a quick shimmy. It was just brilliant. It was absolutely great to watch. Really, really good. And some of the blocks he put in as well. There's one in particular that everyone can remember, I'm sure, where he just threw himself in front of the ball. But there was a couple more that were just as impressive, really, throughout the match as well. And he had some brave defending during the game, and it was just wonderful to see. And I'm really glad that he's showing people what he can do defensively as well as offensively. And I just hope he keeps it going because, I've mentioned a few times, I'm sick to death of having the price of what we pay for players put in front of their names for life, and having it rammed down their throats as soon as they see a mistake from these players. It's really unfair on them. And I think that Ben White is definitely going to improve all the time because of his age, and he's showing everyone what he can do. And I really enjoy that because I really, really like him as a player. Really like him.
I think spending the money is not all. I mean, I know people want you to spend money. We have spent money, but it's not a guarantee, is it? I mean, somebody put a stat about United since Ferguson. They spent something like £2 billion.
Something about that as well, yeah.
And what's that got them? You saw what's got them yesterday. And you think it's not all about money, is it? It's about getting the right blend of players together who want to play as a team, as opposed to 11 individuals. I mean, it just doesn't work, does it? You've got to build a team. And if it costs $5 million to buy a player, and he turns into a 30 million, it doesn't matter, does it? As long as he does what he needs to do on the day in the team.
Oh, exactly.
You need all 11 parts to work together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the misfit players put that for him, Lacazette was man of the match.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably agree if he'd managed to last the 90, but he went off after about 60.
65, yeah.
He was gone though, wasn't he? He was gone at that point, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. I'm not. But that's the problem. I mean, that's the reason why I wouldn't even consider giving him a contract extension, because I don't think he ever has hardly completed a 90 for Arsenal. Even like 2 or 3 years ago, he's never like a 90-minute player, is he? I'd like to see the stats of how many matches he's actually completed 90, and that's the letdown for him. But he was outstanding whilst he was on the pitch rather. But I mean, for me, it's got to be Smith Rowe. I mean, he was just out of this world class performance. That was genuinely world class.
Even took the deflection, he started that winning the ball back in the first place.
He was everywhere. Like his defensive stats were just as good as his forward stats as well. I mean, he was literally playing out of his skin. It was just phenomenal, that performance. I've watched the match again from start to finish. I've seen the highlights again a couple of times. I really enjoyed watching it again. But he just gets better every time we watch him. It's just great, just fantastic.
I wonder if anybody's got a stat as to how many times we won the ball back. I think it'd be horrendous, wouldn't it? It'd be some huge number, wouldn't it? I mean, we virtually won every 50-50 ball, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. It was brilliant. Would I start the same 11 against Leicester? Do you know what? It depends on Tierney. You can't discount Tierney. I think he's got bruised foot. I don't know quite how bad it is. That's what I read. That's why he was out. I mean, again, people have blamed him not playing on some kind of bad injury record, but you can't. When someone stamps on your foot, it's a bit out of your control. I don't think that's your body letting you down. Just wanted to put that one out there. But depending on Tierney, then I think I would. Yeah, I think everyone's got to be rewarded for that kind of performance against. If you start dropping people after a game like that, what does it really say? I don't think anyone could be left out the next game. The interesting one is the one on Tuesday, because if you think about it, we've got we played on Friday, so we've got 4 days between then and tomorrow's game, and then after tomorrow's game, we've got 4 days between then and our next league game as well. Then we've got the international break, I believe. Is that right?
After Watford, yeah.
It's after Watford.
There's another game. There's another week, isn't there? I think.
Right. Okay. So it's after. So we've got a week between the Leicester one and the Watford one, then, and then we've got the international break. So the interesting thing is what you would do when you've got 4 days in between each game, and everyone that's listened to me over the last couple of months knows that I really want to win this cup, and I'm really reluctant to change the game for that as well. To be perfectly honest, I know that we're going to have to start some of the fringe players like Martinelli.
I think he'll change the back four, won't he, and Leno. I think Leno and the back four will change.
That's exactly what I was going to come on to, Steve. I would not change the back four at all. The more they play together, the better they're going to become. So I would play Martinelli. I would probably give Balogun, or I don't know about starting Balogun, but I'll definitely get him off the bench if the game's comfortable. I'd give Pepe a run out, so I'll probably put Martinelli and Pepe in there. Other than that, I wouldn't change much, to be perfectly honest, because 4 days gap between games is plenty enough for me. And because we've got the international break coming up after a couple more games, why change it too much? And one thing I wouldn't change, though, Steve, is 100% is the back four, the back five even. I'm still be reluctant to put Leno in.
I agree, but I just think he will. I just think he'll go with Leno, and I think he'll go with one of Holding and Mari. One of those two will come in, and he'll probably. I'd be surprised. I don't want him to change it, but I can just see that 5 change.
I really hope not. I think you're probably right. If I'm honest, I think you'll probably be right. But I just don't see any reason to. Really, do not see any reason to. They're plenty fit enough to play every 4 days. All of them are.
But if we're on a bit of a roll, does the Carabao Cup fall down in priority to the league now? Now we're starting to see performance in the league pick up. Does that now become more of a priority?
If we win that cup, it's going to give us
league. It's European Conference, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
European Conference. If we win,
we've got some form of European football. I know it's not the one that we want, but at least we've got one form of European football secured, and winning breeds winning, with the mentality. It should give us a extra impetus for the rest of the season. It's a competition we haven't won since 1993, nearly 30 years ago, not far off 30 years ago. And we've got 2 competitions that we can win this season. So why not try and have a 1993 season all over again and win both cups? I mean, yes, we need to get
that. I just think.
Don't tell AFTV that,
though. Sorry?
I was saying, don't tell AFTV about they're not major honours.
Yeah, well, unless North's 4th place, apparently. 4th place is, unless you're Man United, of course, then it is a trophy. But if we finish 4th, it's not a trophy.
It shouldn't detract from us to get as high in the league as possible by going after the Carabao Cup. It shouldn't affect our league form whatsoever. It could only give us that extra push towards the end of the season if we've won it, because it's really, the final was really early in the season. It gives us the Europa Conference, which is not what we want. But it doesn't mean that we play in that competition if we still continue and finish high up the league. which is what we're going for, obviously. But one thing doesn't counteract the other, as far as I'm concerned. And I know that, like, people don't want to play in the Europa Conference, like Tottenham are this season, because it's the lowest form of European football. But once you've got that confirmed, that you've got that in the bag, if you like, it doesn't mean that you're going to play in it if we can continue, to do well for the rest of the season.
Since Pep's come in, the last 4 years he's won it in a row now? 4 or 5 years, give or take.
Yeah.
Every year he uses that as the springboard for the season to push on.
Exactly. I know they've got a bigger squad than us, and they can play their second string squad in it, but still win it. But why did we have to have the mentality that, we ain't got a chance of winning it because Man City are going to win it? Why have that mentality? I don't want that mentality. And if we can go ahead and win it, then, that's something we've stolen from Pep, and we can use that as a springboard. So I really, really want to win it. And I would not change too much. I'd definitely play Martinelli, and I'd definitely play Pepe on the match tomorrow. But I wouldn't change the back four at all, and I wouldn't change the midfield because they've got very much option there anyway at the moment.
Options,
So I would
keep play.
I don't think he will.
I think he'll play Tavares, assuming Tierney's going to be over his injury fairly quickly. And I think he'll bring Ainsley into midfield. I think possibly with Lokonga. Give Partey the day off. I mean, they'll all be on the bench, won't they? I mean, that's the thing. They'll all be on the bench if necessary. Get Pepe back in. And Pepe's got to start doing it on a regular basis because he's in and out now, isn't he? And he's not first choice. So he's got to start doing it. I'll definitely start Martinelli and give Laka, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, if that's what he can come up with. And go from there. Wouldn't be surprised to see El Neni come back in. But I think the back four will change apart from Tavares. That's my gut feeling. And Leno. I think that's my gut feeling. That's not what I want to do, but I think that's what he will do. Yeah,
I think one area of the pitch that you do not. I know that Neil in the chat agrees with me on this because I've been saying it forever. That one area of the pitch you don't mess around with is the defence. So I know that Neil agrees with me on that because I obviously listened to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Great one. Listen to it if you haven't listened to it already. So I wouldn't change that in a million years because they're getting that real good relationship now. They know what each one's going to do. They're helping each other out. So why mess with that? And the last thing I want to see tomorrow against a good Leeds side, let's not forget, they're not going to. I don't believe that Leeds are going to play a weak team tomorrow either because they are desperate for form. They're really desperate for form, and they don't want another loss under their belts this season. So they're not going to play a weak team in my book. So I want to go and win that game tomorrow, and it's not going to be easy because we know how they play. Regardless of whether their league form is not producing many points at the moment, we know that they're going to go at us 100 miles an hour, and we need to be ready for that. So why would you mess around and put someone like Kolasinac in our defence tomorrow, which, God forbid, he gives Kolasinac a game because Tierney's out. I think he might save Tavares for the weekend and put Kolasinac there. And that is not the sort of thing I want to be seeing tomorrow. So I would not mess with that at all. I'd keep the midfield the same. I'll keep the defence the same. And I'll just, like I said, give Pepe Martinelli a run out. Apart from that, I would not change anything. However, I do agree with you, Steve, that that's going to be unlikely, unfortunately. But yeah, I know Leeds have got.
Well, we'll see.
Sorry, go on.
No. I was saying no. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but
Yeah, no, I know that Mike's put in the chat there as well. That Leeds have got some key players out injured. I know they have. They were down on the weekend. Unfortunately, it worked for them. But they're still going to put out the strongest that they can. You know what I mean? Which, because if you're Bielsa, you're not going to want yet another defeat under your belt. So he's going to want to go out and win that game, try and create that bit of winning mentality back in the squad. So they're going to go for it tomorrow, in my book.
Yeah, 100%. As you said,
it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a good game. It'll be a good game.
Tough one, tough game. But regardless of what their league form is, it's still not going to be an easy walkover. It's not going to be a walkover, is it?
No.
Let's face it.
In years gone by, we've had leagues in the FA Cups, like in the Championship, like mid-table or League One and things like that. Go to Ellen Road, and they gave us a game. We had we had Nasri, Fabregas, and they gave us a game and a half. I remember, was it one year we had to play them in replay at Ellen Road because they come to the Emirates and they almost beat us. They were 1-0 up for the last half hour. They took a Fabregas last-minute penalty to take it to a replay. We almost got the second third. So no matter what, they always will be up for it because that's the way they are. In my lifetime, historically, they've always provided issues for us.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
2003, I remember 2003, they put up the game of the season, the last game at Highbury that season. And all we had to do was avoid defeat to stay in the title race, take it to the last day. And they turned up, they weren't in form, and they beat us 3-2.
Yeah, I know.
Just turned to gold from that day.
I remember, I can't remember what year it was, but we went, we had Leeds in the Cup, and I think it went to like 4 replays, something like that, if I'm right in saying.
Yeah, that's gone over, yeah.
We did the same with Liverpool one year as well, but I remember going 4, I'm sure it was 4 replays with Leeds as well. We've always had some right way through the years, but I remember last season's when we won 4-2 against Leeds.
At home,
and we were 4-0 up at one stage, and they scored 2. They brought it back to 4-2, and they were still trying to get some miracle comeback on us right the way through to the end. So even at 4-0 down, they were relentless. So we can't take it easy with them at all.
No. And it was only a few seasons ago that we played them in the FA Cup again, more recently. They're in the Championship going for promotion.
Yeah.
And Reece Nelson was the difference.
Yeah, that was a really, really hard. We've spoken about this before. That gave me confidence in Arteta, that game, because we were battered that first half. We were so lucky to go in at 0-0. We were so lucky, and I always thought to myself, he must have had some kind of really good team talk and some readjustments at half time, because we came out and we were a bit of a different side, to be honest. And we nicked that 1-0 win. But that was a really, really hard game. They were in the Championship at the time, yeah. And but I remember that first half, they were just coming at us like a swarm of bees. It was just really hard to get rid of them. But it was a good game, good performance, really tough performance. And I expect something similar tomorrow because, like Neil said, we're still a big scout for them. We've always had the rivalry throughout the years, and they're going to want to win. So anyway, the reason speaking about it, I do honestly think that after tomorrow, they've had enough rest, and after tomorrow, they've got another 4 days till the next game, and then another week till the next game. So they're all nicely spread out. So I don't think there's any reason at all to just go completely change the team and have like 8, 9 changes or whatever, just to give the fringe players that bit of football, because we can't risk it. We haven't got much to play for this year. We can't risk it going out against the team we should be.
You've also got to balance that with the fact that if a Ben White or Gabriel picked up an injury and Mario Holding have got to come in, you don't want them coming in with no minutes under the belt, do you, either? So there has to be an element of giving these players some playing time to, if they are needed later on, they've got that game time under their belt.
I get that.
So there is always an element of that.
I get that. They can easily get injured in training, though. Like Tini got injured in training, I believe. I don't think he got injured in the game, because he came off fine in the last game. So he must have got a stamp on the foot in training, and the same can happen. And I do get that. But I'm a firm believer in playing the best team that you can each week, unless you have. If you have to make changes, then that's what they're there for. They train all week to be able to come in at any time during the 90 minutes if they're called off the bench, and to start the next game if needed as well. They're professional like that. And that's how they're trained. So I'm not worried about that.
I don't think modern managers look at it like that, though, do they? They look at it. They've got a squad, and they want to mix it up for cup games. And I think that's historically that's what they've always done. I mean, Wenger used to do it all the time, didn't he? And
yeah, because we have European competition. We're in the Champions League, though, then.
But
times have changed.
Yeah. But he still used to mix it up. So I mean, I agree. You should play your best team all the time. But I think in this instance, we'll see a completely different side tomorrow night.
I'm just saying
up for it.
I'm just saying what I would do. Yeah, I'm not saying
tough side. Always have been.
Yeah, I don't know whether you've frozen or whether you've just stopped talking. But I'm just saying that what I would do anyway, and I'm not saying this is what Arteta's going to do, but this is what I firmly believe in, and I want to go win that cup, so I would play the strongest team.
Yeah.
And you can't base your team selection out of whether you're going to offend people or not. That's not the point for.
Yeah, fair play. I mean, I'd probably make 2 or 3 changes max.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd definitely play Martinelli and I'd play Pepe. But apart from that, I wouldn't make any other changes. But that's just me.
Yeah, I've got just going through the chat. Sorry, I've got Mike saying.
Well, we'll see. As always.
No, go on. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. I don't know whether you've got a bit of a lag, have you?
As always, we'll be waiting for the team sheet, won't we?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely. But I don't know whether you whether it's worth you maybe dropping out.
I mean, all these players that they'll all be on the bench tomorrow, won't they? To be available to come on at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. What would anyway? You haven't said much, Ryan. What would you?
Have a chance.
What do you think tomorrow?
In terms of tomorrow, like you guys are saying, I would make a couple changes. I wouldn't change the back line. Keep Ramsdale in, keep the back line going. They need to gel and work together because we've got to remember Ramsdale. With Tini aside, with Ramsdale, Nuno, Tomiyasu, and Ben White have all just come in. That's 4 out of the 5 have just come in. They need to sort of build a relationship up, and the more they play together, and the more they win or whatever, they build it. They build that connection. That's another thing. We've always said. Well, we said it last year. The one flaw in Arteta last year was he kept pretty much every game chop change within the back line when he didn't need to. Even with his no injuries, he kept doing it. Now it seems he's got, in terms of the league anyway, he's settled with a back line. Keep it going. Then build their relationships up together. So far, it's working out so far so good. What's the worst that can happen? We've got to know European football. This is the thing that you guys are saying. The guys are saying in the chat. We ain't got many games to play this season. 38 league games. Obviously, depending on how far we're getting the cups, a few extra games there. So why not? Like you said, why not do what we did in '94? Go all the way to the League Cup and FA Cup.
Exactly.
Winning breeds confidence.
Yeah. And regarding Leno playing, I mean, pardon my French, but what the fucking point is that? Because it's not as if Ramsdale is going to get knackered after a game because of the lack of running around he's doing. He's going to want to play every game. Exactly, yeah. His throat might be a bit sore, but apart from that, so I mean, I don't see the point because if we'd have had the European competition to play in, then you could have said, Leno, fair enough, you can play, you can be the European goalkeeper this season, and I can understand that. But because we've got so little to play for this year, I don't see the point. Play your best goalkeeper to try and win the competition. And if there's so many Arsenal fans that think it's a Tin Pot Cup, why the hell are we? Just play all the kids, play the blah blah blah. That's how it was when we were in the Champions League every season. Fair enough. Arteta and Wenger used to play the under-23 squad pretty much in all the early rounds. And they even played it in the final one year, didn't he, against Chelsea?
2007, yeah.
So that was absolutely fine, and it was quite exciting at that point to watch the youngsters playing that competition. I really enjoyed it. But we're not the same team anymore, and we've got 2 competitions to play for this year, and we need to get up the highest as we can in the league. Fair enough. But I want to go and win the cup. So why all these people that are saying it's a Tin Pot Cup, it's just, I don't want to be in it, just put all the kids out there, then fine. But when we get to the semi-final or the final, I expect you to be in the same boat then. You're not going to get excited by us being in the semi-final or the final of the competition. Of course they bloody will. Everyone will go mad. If we get to the semi-final, hopefully win it, and then go to the Wembley, people are going to want a ticket and they're going to go and want to go and see us win a cup. They're going to eat their words when we get to that stage. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
The last time I got to the League Cup final, literally, I went to every round. Basically, it was at home, so I went to pretty much every game. The Emirates was pretty much empty. Like you said, even the semi-final, there was empty seats here and there. Come the final, though, it was like gold dust with the ticket, though.
And you know what? Because we lost that game in the final, everyone still talks about that game now. Because they do realise it was a major final and we lost it.
Yeah.
So why are the people still talking about it if it's just a Tin Pot Cup? It's not. It's a League Cup. We've still got it. I know a lot of nations across Europe have abandoned it. And fair enough. That's up to them. But we haven't. And it's a cup that we can go and win. And I bet you £1 million. How often? Sorry, I'll reword that. I bet you Spurs would be extremely happy to win that competition.
Better to win anything at this point.
Exactly, yeah. And
they'd be happy to win anything, wouldn't they?
Exactly. And it'd be yet another cup that we've won ahead of Spurs if we go and win it. I mean, I don't want to win it for that reason. But it's a major competition, and they would certainly treat it as a major competition. Pep Guardiola treats it as a major competition. And I bet you every other league manager in the Premier League and Championship would give their high teeth to go to Wembley and win that competition. So
I reckon
rubbish
Ollie
about the
Solskjaer would bite your hand off to win that right now, wouldn't he?
Absolutely, yes. Another great example. Well, it saved a lot of managers' jobs by winning that competition right the way through history.
Well, Ferguson, didn't he win it? He was He was pretty much going to be on his way out, and he won a League Cup, didn't he?
Yeah. Pep Guardiola won his first cup that he won in the UK. It was Mourinho's first cup that he won in the UK, and they went on to pretty decent things, didn't they? To be fair to them.
Yeah.
So let's hope that it could be Arteta's second cup in his 2.5 seasons that he could win it.
Kenneth Dalglish and his second spell as manager of Liverpool a few years back, the year after we lost, went on to win it. That was his first trophy back.
Yeah. So I'm not having any.
Well, I'm hoping I'm totally wrong. I'm hoping I'm totally wrong, and he goes with a really, really strong side. Because that sends out a message as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That he's not prepared to sort of give up on things. He wants to go and win every game and put his best side out every game.
We went strong against
that would be a statement, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The game that Andrew went to, he went strong in that game against West Brom.
He went fairly strong against Wimbledon as well, didn't he?
So it wouldn't make no sense to then go completely a U-turn after 2 rounds and go, oh, we've got a game on Saturday afternoon, so all the B team out you go. No A team, none of the first team. It would make no sense.
Exactly.
Like I said, I'd make a few changes. I'll start Martinelli, give him a run out, so Pepe run out. Apart from that, give Saka the night off. At least have him on the bench, but effectively want to give him the whole night off, really. And either go with Ubo Laka up front and have either Balogun or Eddie on the bench just as a backup to whoever plays as a striker to come off at some point.
Yeah, I play Odegaard as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I
think Eddie's. I think Eddie's fallen off the radar, isn't he? Eddie Nketiah's fallen off the radar at the moment, isn't he? He's nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, he was the one that came on. I think didn't he come on ahead of Balogun in the last round, or
I think
he started? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He started the last game ahead of Balogun.
Balogun came on to replace him at some point afterwards.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that what I'd like to see is the same formation. So I saw it a bit more as a 4-2-3-1 than the 4-4-2, personally. Or, at least a 4-4-1-1. But anyway, let's just get about that. I'll play the same lineup all the way up to the front line. And because he had, I'd have Martinelli probably playing on the left-hand side, Pepe on the right-hand side. I'd have Odegaard in the hole where Lacazette was playing. And I'd probably play Lacazette up front. And then, because Lacazette can never finish 90 anyway, after an hour, I'd give Balogun the last proper decent run out of half an hour.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd personally like to see. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. He may surprise us and go fairly strong. I just really will be disappointed if he messes up the defence, because it's just pointless. Absolutely pointless if he does that. There's no need for it whatsoever.
No, exactly. I mean, I know, and people say we've got Leicester, and I know Leicester in the last couple of weeks have picked up a bit of form, so it makes the other game even more interesting come Saturday, and more tough. But they've got to play this week. They've got to play midweek as well. They're not the best players. They're in a similar situation to us. They haven't got strength in depth. Well, I say similar situation because they literally, they've proven in the last few years, they've had European football, their strength in depth isn't all that. So they've got it again this year, whereas we haven't. So they're going to have to rest players this week. At either Saturday or Sunday. If they go toe to toe and try to go full strength in both games, there's going to be injuries there in. So I don't think Brendan's that naive to try that, especially he's on the back of an FA Cup win last season.
It'd be interesting with Leicester, because they've been a really quite up and down team so far this season, haven't they? However, the last 3 games have been pretty convincing. Well, I say convincing. I know they only won 2-1 against Brentford, but they were in trouble, weren't they, against Brentford? But they still came through. But the previous 2 games, well, Man United, that's not looking like a great result now, is it, to be fair? No, but they had a good result in Europe as well after being in trouble. But they can be got at. They've not had many clean sheets this season. They've not had many clean sheets at all this season. So if we can score a goal or 2 against them, I could quite fancy us doing quite well against them with the defence that we've now got and the goalkeeper we've now got, trying to keep them out. And with the way that we've been defending a bit better as a team, the Palace game aside, I think that was a bit of an aberration. But since the first 3 games, we have defended really well. So I fancy our chances against them a bit more than I have done in previous seasons. But again, they're still a very, very dangerous team. So that's why I keep repeating myself. That's why I really want to keep the back 5 the same as they are at the moment, personally.
Yeah, Mike's asking, do you think it could be a 4-4-2 used to the system of Laka alongside an Eddie or Martinelli? I'm assuming that's tomorrow.
Yeah, again, I didn't quite see it as a traditional 4-4-2. I don't know what you guys thought personally, but it didn't really play out that way. It definitely seemed a bit more of a 4-2-3-1 to me in lots of cases. I don't really, especially under Arteta, I don't really pay.
Martinelli's got to start, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely got to start tomorrow. It's a very fluid system. Whenever we go on the pitch, it's still quite fluid, no matter what it says on the team sheet at the start and what Sky put up on the screen as to what they think that it is. It never quite works out that way. So I'm not too bothered about the saying it's going to be a 4-4-2 because we don't play like an old-fashioned 4-4-2, like a Man United used to, or even Arsene Wenger used to play a more rigid 4-4-2 in quite lots of games, didn't he? More of a 4-4-1-1 with like one sitting a bit deeper, like Lacazette did. But I'd love to see him play the same way as we did yesterday. So whether you wanted to call that, Friday, whether you want to call that a 4-4-2 or not, that's up to you. But I'd love to see a same sort of way of playing as we did on Friday. Well, yeah, James agrees with me there. So, but I think it was more of a 4-2-3-1 with Partey and the Conga sitting deep, and Lacazette on the left. Aubameyang on the left. Lacazette in the number 10 position. Saka on the right. I think it was
behind him.
Yeah, I think it was more of a 4-2-3-1 personally.
Well, whatever it was, it worked, didn't it? Whatever it was.
Yeah.
It
so
worked.
Smith Rowe was on the left, of course, not Aubameyang. Aubameyang was central. Beg your pardon. But
he's coming on, isn't he? Every game Smith Rowe's coming on, isn't he? I think he's just improving with every game he plays. He's just unbelievable talent from what he is now. I think it's got to wrap him up in cotton wool, really.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm already worrying about us keeping hold of him long term. Because, the thing is with Man City, who's the perfect replacement for Sterling? Saka.
Yeah.
Who's the perfect replacement for Kevin De Bruyne eventually? Smith Rowe. So I'm already worrying about that, mate. Don't worry. We need to tie them down to like a 10-year contract, as far as I'm concerned, with a £1 billion release clause, like they do in Barcelona. And I'm not even joking. If Barcelona can do it,
I mean, it's not a bad shout, is it?
Why don't
how
we
much
do
would
that?
you have to spend to replace him right now?
Oh,
how much would you have to spend to replace him right now at the same age?
You can't. They're irreplaceable. What other players are there in Europe with the quality of Saka and Smith Rowe at their age? There's not many. There's hardly any. They're outstanding, mate. They're absolutely outstanding.
Yeah. So having the money is not going to wouldn't solve the problem, would it? You'd have to buy 2 or 3 players to replace him at the same level. So we've got to win something. We've got to start winning trophies again. Big trophies.
Yeah. And luckily, Smith Rowe's already said he wants to stay at Arsenal for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
And, there's no better time when he said that to put another contract in front of him and say, right, sign this. It's got a £1 billion free release clause. And it means that we've got you for 5 years, 6 years plus another 5 on top with an addition. So, I mean, when a player does something like that, pounce and get that fucker signed up.
Tony Adams always said he never read the contracts. He just signed it.
Yeah.
He didn't care about the numbers or anything like that.
So did Ian Wright. Ian Wright didn't know what he was going to get paid till after he signed.
I remember him telling the story. Literally, what money we paid? David Dean's like, Ian, didn't you read the contract? Like, no, I signed it. I was too excited.
I know. It was blank when he actually signed it. Ian Wright. Ian Wright signed a blank contract. He just wanted to play for Arsenal that bad. So mental.
Yeah.
But James is in the chat. He's basically saying Smith.
It's a different game now. I mean, the money now is ridiculous, isn't it? Trouble, the money now is ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's true.
Signing on fees, bonuses. I mean, it's just a different game now, isn't it?
Definitely.
But, if you win trophies and you're playing every week, then that's normally enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Next thing for Smith is England, isn't it? Getting a regular start for England. That's the next thing on his radar. And there's no reason why he shouldn't be playing in the next internationals.
that can hang fire as long as necessary, as far as I'm concerned, mate. You know, that's one thing. That's one thing I'm quite happy for him to sit out at the moment, because he's. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. For all my life of watching football, which is like 40 years now, 41 years to be exact, since I've been watching football, for a player of his age, there's been very, very few, hardly any that are English, especially. There's been a few, that are you see from abroad, and you see highlights reels of on YouTube and stuff that I think, wow, that player's amazing. There's not many that in all of my lifetime, and it's not because I'm being biased, that I'm so excited about is Smith Rowe, and I have, it's been like that for the last couple of years, really. But for now, he's getting even better and better all the time. And when you watch him play now, he is such a complete player. And I've always been consistent with my ratings of him. I've always put him probably slightly higher than Saka for my person, and that's saying something, really, because Saka is something special and all. But I think that Smith Rowe is got an even higher ceiling than Saka, personally. And I haven't seen many players in all my lifetime that have been so good at such a young age than Emile Smith Rowe. And
do you include Cesc and Jack in that?
Yeah, I do.
Include Cesc and Jack in that?
I put him on the same level. I put him as I think he's going to be better than Jack Wilshere and as good as Cesc. I genuinely do. I really, really do. And that's saying something big. I know people are going to probably haunt me down for the rest of my life with saying things like that. But that's how high I rate him. I really do. And the exciting thing is, he's only 20 years old, and he's only going to get better and better. And people were worried. Remember when he got into the team initially? People were worried about his history with injuries, etc.
Yeah.
But he's not showing any signs of that, is he? I mean,
not at the moment. No.
He's the fittest player on that pitch. The way he runs until the 90th minute, up and down the pitch.
I've never seen somebody run with. I don't think I've ever seen somebody run with the ball as fast as they run without it.
No.
He seems to have that ability to keep the ball under control and actually, just put the afterburners on, and he's still got that ball under control, isn't he? And you just know something's going to happen with it. I can't remember many players that can do that.
Yeah, Neil's just saying in the chat as well, lads, we still have Charlie Bettina to break through as well, and he says, I believe he'll blow everything apart.
The first team. I think he's amazing as well. He's not going to show his full. I don't believe he's going to show his full potential until he's got a bit stronger, a bit bulkier, a bit more of an adult's body. I don't want to be rude to him, but he's still got a kid's body. Yeah, he has not bulked up yet, and obviously it takes people different lengths of time. But do you
think there's any chance you'll see him on the bench tomorrow night?
No, I don't think so.
Because it's
you don't see him being on the bench, no.
It's his first season in the under-23s this year. We've got to put it into perspective, and he needs this. He needs this under-23s football, because that is still a step forward for him, because he's only been playing under-18s up until now and youth football. So this is going to be doing him good, playing the under-23s. But by the end of this season, I think he's going to be pretty much fast-tracked then. Next summer, but at the moment
we've all said if he's good enough, then the age shouldn't make any difference. Should it?
Can you shut that door, please?
Think he's good enough.
Quite noisy. It won't be long. Thank you.
If he's good enough, stick him on the bench. Let him experience it.
Yeah. The thing, because it's obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if he was in the squad tomorrow, at least on the bench, just as a bit of an experience thing for him from a match-day perspective.
There's a lot of media coverage, wasn't there, in the last game about him playing, and he ended up not being anywhere near the squad, didn't he? But there's a lot of media about will he, won't he, pictures of him training and that. But in the end, he wasn't in the squad either. So maybe this time he might get a place on the bench.
Possibly. Again, I wouldn't be against it at all because what I'm seeing, he's got the potential to obviously. I think it's the highest potential we've seen from us. That's including the lots of Saka, Smith, Rowe, that we've seen for a long time. And anyone that knows Andrew, he was raving about Smith Rowe well before he'd even broke into the first team properly. And obviously, because my brother's friends with Smith Rowe as well, I knew of him and kept an eye on him as well. So we knew what sort of play we had in our hands with Smith Rowe. And when Saka broke through, we sort of got an idea of what we had of him. But Charlie's he's something different. He is a blend of quite a few players from the past, and it's exciting to see. So it's exciting to have such an array of talent coming through sporadically as well in a short period of time. We haven't had that for so long in our academy. We'd have like Ashley Cole pop up every now and then. What was it? Seth popped up a few years later. But apart from that, nothing. The ones that we thought would pop up and break in, either got like Jack got an injury record like you wouldn't believe, or just didn't hack it, and Wenger just didn't lost faith in them and bend them off to like Newcastle or whoever basically. I mean, what was it? Chuba Akpom had a big reputation in the under 23s. We all thought, he's gonna be one for the future. Come in, give him a couple of years, he'll be rivaling Giroud, pushing him for a first team spot. He's now at Middlesbrough. We sent him back to Greece. Was it? I can't remember what they're called now. AEK Athens or something like that. Whereas now it seems like we are actually we've got more. We've got more than one player. My point is, we've got more than one player popping up and establishing themselves in the first team. It's like sporadic as well.
Yeah, but there will be casualties, won't there? There will be casualties, won't there? They won't all make it, will they? Yeah, I mean, like a few people have mentioned Aziz, where does he come back in at some point? You've got to find a place for all these players. They're not all going to get that time, are they? We've already seen it with Martinelli not playing a lot of time, a lot of minutes. So, nice problem to have, though.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. And like Neil says in the chat, a lot of credit goes to Per Mertesacker there, because it's since he's come in that we've seen the growth.
It's a real shame about Aziz that I really thought he'd gone to a good place with Pompey under their manager, who obviously Smith Rowe played under as well.
Yeah.
But he's not hardly playing a game, and that's a real shame. He got a bit of a slight injury at the beginning of the season, kept him out the first 2 or 3 games, and since then they've just been not doing very well. So the managers obviously reverted to their tried and tested older players to try and drag them through this bad bit of form. And we've got a recall option on him, and I think we need to recall him if he's not going to start playing regularly now. And possibly, depending on what's going to happen in January with players out, either bring him back in to play him from the bench or keep him as a squad option, or get him out on another loan in January for the rest of the season. But he's one that I genuinely think has got a chance to get a place in the first team squad as well. And maybe even depending on how much football he gets this year, maybe even from next summer, he could be a squad player, because we're not going to replace Mohamed El-Neni with anyone else, I don't think, with the players that we've got. I think that Aziz will take his place in the squad. I genuinely think that. I hope so anyway, because he's a really good quality player. Plays a lot deeper, a different type of player again, but very, very good, very promising player. Really like him. Patino, I think next summer has got a chance of being a proper member of the first team squad. He's very much being fast tracked, as I've already mentioned. So he's got a good chance of being used a lot more. The striker that Neil's on about in the chat there is Mika Beereth, who I think is a really good, yet another great prospect. But the good thing about him is he's a great finisher, but he's built like a man already. He's big, strong, and tall, and he people bounce off him already. But he's banging them in for fun for us this year, under 23s. But he was also doing that for Fulham last year. He looks like within another couple of years could be a great option. We're absolutely blessed. We've got so many. Amari Hutchinson. We've got our own Salah coming through now.
He's got the weekend as well.
He's had a terrible injury. He's come back from his injury, and people are worried about him as to how he's going to be. He's literally just started off as he finished before, banging in goal after goal. But not just good, not just like tap-ins, proper decent good goals. And there was one the other day. It literally just took it round a few players in the box, slotted it home. The game before, he scored from outside the area. So he's a really, really good prospect. We've got the guy, name completely gone out of my head for some unknown reason. The other big, tall Swedish striker on loan in Germany.
I know you want about it.
Bloody hell.
That's Moller.
Yeah.
Moller.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Nikolai Moller. He's had another really sadly injury hit season over in Germany. So that's put him back a little bit. Hopefully he comes back soon and starts scoring for them. But he looks like a good prospect. We've got so many at the moment coming through. And no, they're not all going to make it as first-team footballers at Arsenal. But we need to start producing these types of incredible players to make money as well, like a lot of other clubs have been doing for years out of their academy. If they don't make it with us, then we'll get good money for them. Really good money for them, which will go into the kitty for us to improve the first team eventually anyway. So they're all important for the first team, regardless of whether they play for us or not. They're all important for the first team. So I can't praise the work that they're doing over at the academy high enough. I mean, Per Mertesacker, my God, what I'd love to have. Do you know what? I'd love more than anything. I could just spend a day over there just to see what they're doing with these kids and the plans that they've got.
We've got to make sure that Mertesacker's on a long-term contract as well, then, haven't we, really?
Well, yeah, definitely.
He's turning these nuggets into goal bars. You want to make sure he doesn't go anywhere.
100%.
I've never known touch with these kids.
I mean, this is like Ajax levels of quality coming through our academy. Genuinely, Ajax obviously, well renowned for years for bringing their own players through. But the amount of players of really good quality coming through at once on a conveyor belt almost through our academy at the moment, that is proper Ajax stuff, really. And long may it continue because it's very exciting.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very busy time, isn't it? Because, obviously we've still got all these players out on loan with various clubs. They've all got to be moved on as well, haven't they? So, it's going to be a busy time, finding spaces for all these youngsters and assuming we're not going to bring anybody in January to replace the players going off to the African nations. Assuming Xhaka's not 100% ready for January, we're going to need some support, some backup players, aren't we, that are out at the moment. So some of these young players could well get a game, and maybe even Jack, as somebody just mentioned, maybe even Jack will get a short-term contract come January. There's a lot of options out there, and if we're pushing for places in the top six, we're going to need to keep the foot on the gas, aren't we, and get these players up to speed.
Well, James in the chat alerted me to I think it was it's a newspaper article about the players we're looking to get rid of in January rather. Just trying to bring it up now. It was bear with me 2 seconds. Here we are. It was from the Telegraph, and it said Edu and Mikel Arteta have begun to the plan for January has looked to offload 7 players: Leno, Chambers, Kolasinac, Elneny, Maitland-Niles, Nketiah, and Balogun. Now, that's I can see that as being, a realistic plan. I think it'll be really, really difficult to get rid of all of them because we know what January's like as a whole. But if we are looking to get rid of that many players, I mean, out of that lot, we're either going to have to trust the two young goalkeepers we've got in line to back up, or we're going to have to go out and buy another goalkeeper, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Chambers, fair enough. You know, we all like Chambers as a person, but is he ever going to be good enough now after all this time? No, probably not. We can't keep being sentimental, so that's fair enough. Hopefully, we can still get a half decent amount of money for him. Kolasinac, off on your bike, just pay him off. He's got 6 months left. Let him go. El Neni, the same. If we don't replace El Neni, which I wouldn't have thought we would, Balogun on loan. I'll come to that one. But El Neni, if we don't replace him, then I would seriously consider bringing back Aziz to sit on the bench and take his minutes whenever needed. That would be a good introduction for Aziz. Maitland-Niles is the one I would be sad about because I just think he's such a good player to have on the bench to cover a multitude of things within the team. But I can see him going. And I think, again, we could still get some decent money for him. And Ketia, got 6 months left. I mean, if we could get anything for him, it's better than nothing. And he could sign up for, as we know, for any club across Europe for free in January.
Outside of the UK,
nothing in the summer. So if we can get £1 million for him, £2 million, £5 million would be amazing for him. Then anything's better than nothing for Nketiah. And Balogun, alone it'll be for Balogun. So it leaves us quite light striker-wise. But we do still have, Martinelli who can play down the middle. So I'd be quite happy to work with that for the rest of the summer, till the rest of the season, until the summer, because realistically, are Nketiah and Balogun going to get any minutes at all? Unless we get a real terrible thing with COVID or terrible injury concerns, then they're not going to play hardly any minutes, are they, at all? And I'd rather have Martinelli available to play the left wing or striker. That gives him two options to get in the team rather than just the one at the moment. So, we've got a bloated squad, and I think that will be a good thing to do. Personally, I don't think it will leave us that short. I don't know about you guys.
No, I think you're right. I think the only one I'd like to stay would be Ainsley, but it's difficult to find out. He's got to settle on a position, isn't he? The rest of them pretty much, I think, need to go. And I mean, we haven't really talked about a few of the others that are out on loan already. They've got to be moved on permanently as well. So, you could be talking 10 players, couldn't you, of the current, playing staff. And that's, assuming you're going to bring in a couple of players. I mean, would we still be looking at bringing in another striker? Ollie Watkins was mentioned. Albert Lewin was mentioned, wasn't they? I mean, they're the right age to go with the, the type of players we're looking for. Would one of those come in if we wanted to do that? But then it's a difficult one, isn't it? We need to finish high enough in the league to get us back into Europe. We can't get rid of too many players and leave us too short. So I mean, it's going to be an interesting January, if nothing else.
Yeah, I think that I think it's not too optimistic anyway. I can't see us getting rid of that many players in January. It's pie in the sky, really. No. But I agree with
the clubs out there. The clubs aren't out there to buy these players, are they? The people aren't buying players like they were, are they? What with the COVID, and we don't know what the COVID is going to be doing in January, so we don't know, what the situation is going to be. It could just be a lot of loans, couldn't it?
Yeah,
we might be able to find a striker somewhere that can come in on loan, or another midfielder to come in on loan that's better than what we've got. So Edu and Arteta are going to be really busy the next couple of months. focusing on players out and players in.
Mm.
So I wouldn't expect a lot to come in January.
I mean, Maitland-Niles came on again as a sub on Friday, and I watched his body language with him and Arteta when they were doing the usual chat before they came onto the pitch, and it very small amount of time, but you can generally tell how interested a player is just by looking at them sometimes. And I thought that they looked quite warm together. I thought that they had a decent relationship there, and I'm not 100% sure that bridges are burnt. He's got no future. I really wish that something could be sorted out there, because again, BX Gunner said, why is AMN not a CDM? He can play there all day. I remember before we bought Thomas Partey saying that it's another thing. Same as right back or right wing back. If he wanted to play there properly, he could quite easily learn that position and nail down a spot for Arsenal. And if not Arsenal, and any other team in the league, because he could be that good as a right back or right wing back. I think the same for a central midfielder, central defensive midfielder as well. I agree with you there with that comment. I think if he went out and learnt that job properly without on the training pitch day in, day out, he could be a great central defensive midfielder. He's got everything he wants. He's got everything he needs.
Do you think it's down to the? Yeah, but do you think it's down to the player to make that call? Is it down to Ainsley to say to Arteta, saying, right, I want to be this player, and I don't want to. I don't think it's down to him, is it? He can't make that decision, and then Arteta uses him as a utility. And as you say, he might not be interested in playing right back. He could play him at right back tomorrow, and he's thinking, well, I don't really want to play a right back. And you won't get the same intensity out of him, will you?
It's not his decision at all. But what I really mean is, if you're a manager that's under pressure, you're a manager of a big team, and similar to what I've already said about Tavares, must be a coach's dream to work with a player like that.
Yeah,
when you look at Maitland-Niles and all of the key attributes that he's got, you would lick your lips and think, my God, I could make this something special out of this guy. Because he's got so much in his game, in his armoury, that surely any coach worth their salt would think, God, yeah, I'm so glad I've got him. I mean, you look at him, he's big, strong, tall, quick, powerful, good on the ball, can play himself out of tight spaces.
So, I mean, how many years has he been at the club, and how many opportunities has he had in various? And it just hasn't happened, does it? Just hasn't happened for whatever reason.
I don't get it, mate. I really don't get it. I just don't understand, especially considering he's an academy graduate. He's got that extra thing on his side of being, one of our own, if you like. And I just don't know.
He's got the pace, hasn't he? He's got the pace to be a flying winger, isn't he? Or a wing back. I mean, he's got the pace about him, isn't he? And he's got the physicality. But it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
I don't think he's got the final. The cross isn't. But again, that's something that could come with multiples of practice, of game time, playing in the playing match after match. If you get a run of games, you get better at things. His crossing's not quite there, but I think that will come. But as a defensive midfielder, he could be. If he'd have been learning that role for the last couple of years, what's stopping him being as good as someone like Thomas Partey, or a player of that ilk?
Do you think that boat has sailed now for Ainsley? He's had chances.
I do, because there's something there. There's something behind the scenes. There's something either with him in his brain, something that has stopped that progress. Because I can't see any other reason why he wouldn't have progressed to be a regular first team player at Arsenal. There's something that we don't know about. I wish I did, but there's something we don't know about that stopped that progression, and that's why I think that it's too late. Unfortunately, that's a really good shout actually by BX Gunner as well.
He had all last season. He had all last season to establish himself as a right-sided midfield stroke right back, didn't he?
Yeah.
And in the end, we bought Tommy. So again, he's sort of lost out on that position, isn't he? He could have made that his own, really, but it just never happens. And I think now it's just a matter of time before he goes somewhere else. I think, for me.
Yeah, it's a really great shout by BX Gunner there in the chat as well. He said, "I can see Liverpool coming in for AMN on the cheap, and Klopp transforming him." that's a really good shout. I can see that as well.
That would be typical, wouldn't it, of us? Yeah, that'd be typical, wouldn't it? But what can you do if he's not going to play like that for us? Then you can't just keep him, can you? Just to stop somebody else having him. But I don't know.
No, and that's another thing that Shane said. This is bang on, and something I mentioned. In the past, he must have been poorly advised. AMN has been poorly advised. Someone should have sat him down 3 years ago and told him to take that right back place. He could have been great there. He could have made it his own. He could have been the right back for the next decade. And it was just utterly stupid of him. And I hope he regrets it in some ways, by leaving Arsenal on the promise to go and play. I don't hope he regrets it. I wish him the best. I do, actually. I shouldn't have said that. Take that back. But, because I do like him. But I can see him regretting it by going somewhere with the promise to play midfield, not getting the run of games that he wants, having to play right back for that team, and him potentially becoming some kind of journeyman footballer and his career not going the places that it should have been. Because if he really had taken that chance, when Bellerin was struggling, Bellerin had that terrible injury, he could have made that berth his own in the team, and Bellerin would never have got back in the squad, in the side.
Well, he lost out to Chambers in the end, didn't he? Chambers was preferred as the first choice right back, and that could have been Ainsley.
Exactly.
But I think with Ainsley, he'll probably end up playing for a lower league side, Championship side, and that'll be it, won't it? I can't see him going to a Liverpool or Man City, one of the bigger teams. He'll end up being a lower Premier League side or a Championship side.
Well, Klopp's taken the chance on players like him in the past, hasn't he? He wouldn't be the first.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got players from teams that you never would have thought he would have get players from,
Yeah, possibly.
That were struggling. But either that or someone like a Brighton, a Southampton, a West Ham.
Yeah.
West Ham would be bad at the moment, would it, for crying out loud? But, I mean, I can see him staying in the Premier League at a decent level. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to leave it there with AMN because it disappoints me in lots of ways. I think he could have been so much more than he is. But I do think it's gone too far with Arsenal now. I wish it wasn't the case. But yeah, I can't. I hope it turns around. I really do. But I don't know where Ryan's gone because I need to go in a minute, I'm afraid.
Yeah, me too.
I said I was going to be able to be here for an hour, as I have done for the last couple of weekends. We've got the kids.
It's an hour and a half-ish.
And it's an hour and a half again. Yeah, so I'm going to have to go.
Then what are we going to say tomorrow night's score then? What's our gut feeling? Let's go with two scores. One will be if we put our first 11 out, and then one will be if we put our second 11 out.
Well, have we got a second 11 at the moment?
All right, well, the players that didn't play on Friday.
Oh God! I mean, if we play a completely different back four, and back five including Leno, we could play Cedric, Holding, Mari, and Klasnach. I mean, why would you do that? And why would anyone do that if you've got a sound mind? But potentially it could happen. We could play El Neni and Maitland-Niles in midfield. We could play Martinelli, Balogun, and Erdegaard, and
Pepe.
Pepe.
I was going to say Pepe.
Yeah. No, I didn't, but yeah. So if we played a team like that, I can see us really being under the cosh. And yeah, we could just about get over the line, like we did in that 1-0 game in the FA Cup, and not just after Arteta took over. If we play our more or less, just make the 2 changes, bring in Martinelli and Pepe, and give Smith Rowe and Saka a rest, put them on the bench, then I could see it being quite, another 3-1. Again, quite a comfortable game, like it was on Friday, personally. What about you?
Well, I think, I think whichever team we put out, we should still win, is my gut feeling. One team will be a lot harder, assuming Leeds put pretty much their best side out. So I can see us either winning 2-1 with our, so-called second string, if you like, and 3-1 if we put our first team out. But either way, I still one game will be a lot harder than the other, but I think we've still got enough to win whichever side we put out, is my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it'll be an easy game either way. But I do think if we change the back line, I think it's going to be we'll put a lot more pressure on ourselves unnecessarily for a game that I want to win. And then at the weekend, I would love to see the same team put out again as we did on Friday. Like I mentioned, potentially bring back Kieran Tierney if he's fit, because he is our number 1 left back. But it's lovely to know that we've got such a great backup now in Tavares. And it'd be a shame for Tavares, but Kieran Tierney, we need
He's not done anything wrong, is he? He's not done anything wrong to not play.
He's not been in his best form this season, but his best form, but the form that he's been showing is still very, very good. So and he needs to play, because I love Kieran Tierney, and he's a leader on the pitch, and he's a great player. So if Kieran Tierney is fit, I'd bring back Kieran Tierney for Leicester. But apart from that, I'd keep it the same, personally. Don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I don't see any reason to change. I think Tierney comes back if he's fit. The rest of the side stays the same, and another 3 points.
Yeah, me too.
Simple, There's no reason to think we can't beat Leicester with the side that. If the side, I know we spoke about playing in phases, but if the side that played on Friday play at that level, that's more than enough to beat Leicester.
Yeah, no, I think so.
But if they play like they did against Brighton, then it'll be a much tougher game. So,
isn't it weird though? I mean, the difference between that the Brighton and Palace, and then the performance we saw on Friday. It was like chalk and cheese.
It's in the same week, isn't it? Crazy.
Absolutely mad, mate. Absolutely mad.
Yeah, sorry about that. Literally, I did it on a delivery down. I'll take it in. Sorry.
No worries.
So, everything okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just signing off. We were just signing off.
Yeah, just got to.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Unfortunately, mate.
Yeah,
but
tomorrow.
We said if we play the full team, like just make a couple of changes, 3-1. If we make wholesale changes, especially at the back, then I'd say 1-0 Arsenal, 2-1 Arsenal, that sort of thing, levels. But I think it will make it a lot easier for ourselves if we don't tinker too much. Obviously, it's going to go without saying, really. But I don't want to see the likes of, Cedric, Kolasinac, Holding, Murray, Leno tomorrow. I just don't want to see those. So it depends.
I agree.
Mm.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd love to. It would be great to see Martinelli get back on the score sheet. It really would.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And like Neil's saying,
he needs one like Partey, just one off his backside or something in the top corner. That's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, he's great with his head as well. He's great with his head. So I'd love to see him score a bullet headed like he did before. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. It was his first goal, wasn't it? Against
Nottingham Forest. Yeah. Fantastic header that was.
But yeah, like you said, we've wrapped things up, guys. Obviously, I'll go with my score prediction tomorrow. I'm going to go for another 3-1 win tomorrow. And then obviously...
That's all of us said. All of us said 3-1.
There you go. Clean sweep. Let's hope it comes true.
Well, it did on Friday, so that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So let's hope it continues. Coming back and take 3-1 every week now. Basically, I will be back tomorrow doing the watch along for the Leeds game with a few of the guys. Andrew, are you around for that one?
Yes, I am, mate.
Yeah. Steve, are you interested in that? Watching the game with us?
I can't. I'm afraid I only get my day out twice a week.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fine.
Mrs. Greengrass is quite strict with you.
Yeah.
Hey?
Mrs. Greengrass is quite strict.
She is, mate. She has her needs other than the other 5 days.
Oh, steady on, mate. Steady on. Stop that kind of podcast, mate.
I said we're back tomorrow for that. What's that? That's an 8 o'clock kickoff, isn't it? So around 7:30 works go live, go for the teams and all that we usually do. And yeah, hopefully Arsenal bring us another win, not points, but win and get us through to the next round of the cup. And we look forward to Friday or Saturday, but back on Friday. Hopefully us three, a couple others maybe, for the preview for the Leicester game. So for the preview for Leicester. Then obviously doing a watch along for that on Saturday, nice and early. Yay! Thank you, BT, for that one. Makes total sense. And we'll tell you good bits and pieces throughout the week as well. If you've enjoyed this podcast, and obviously you need to channel, do subscribe, do smash that like button. If you're a regular, do smash that like button if you haven't already. And we'll see you again tomorrow. And as always, I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. The audio will be up soon, hopefully. And we'll see you tomorrow. As always, come on, you Gunners.
Cheers, guys. Take care. It's been a pleasure.